Ivor Bennett is at the Cenotaph for us there. The service there concluding, people laying their wreaths of poppies there, Ivor. But it's an unusual weekend, isn't it? Because there's this confluence of events. There are the events that take place every year with great solemnity that we have just been showing on our screens there to mark the servicemen and women in conflicts over the decades, but also this march taking place today, the pro-Palestinian march, which has been excluded from going near the Cenotaph where you are.
Yeah, that's right. So we're on the edge of the exclusion zone that's been set up around the Cenotaph. You might just be able to make it out over my shoulder around 100 metres or so down Whitehall, and the 2-minute silence here was observed with typical solemnity. And it's quite unusual, of course, to see this very busy street in the heart of London here so still, and here it's so quiet. And there will now be a service held by the Western Front Association, and there will also be a service to my left through a Horse Guards parade over here. But the calm that accompanied the 11 o'clock moment was in stark contrast to what we witnessed around 20 minutes before that, when there were clashes and skirmishes between what the police call counter-protesters and some of the officers here who have been stationed at the Cenotaph because of what is happening today. So hundreds, if not thousands, of what the Met are calling counter-protesters are here. They say to defend the Cenotaph and support the armed forces. That's after the likes of Tommy Robinson, the founder of the far-right English Defence League, rallied his supporters online early in the week, telling them to come to London to protect the Cenotaph, in his words, in light of that pro-Palestine march being held. We've seen him among the crowds. A lot of his affiliates and like-minded groups have also sent out messages to their supporters too. So thousands, I'd say, are now here, a lot of them with flags. They are chanting. Some of it is very aggressive, actually. They're chanting things like "England till I die," "You're not English anymore" at the police officers who are here. There was pushing, there was shoving, there was shouting at police officers, and we saw some bottles thrown. We were in amongst it at one point, and it did feel really quite tense. And police officers were very keen to try and keep the crowds into the areas where they've marked out behind the metal barriers that they've put out here, away from the Cenotaph. So others, members of the public, veterans, families who've also gathered, can also show their respect at this moment. It's important to say, though, the police were expecting these so-called counter-protesters to come here, and they are allowed to be here. The police set this exclusion zone up for those taking part in the pro-Palestine march, and they did expect some level of disorder, in their words, as you can see here. The worry is, though, if the two sides come together, and that's why they've set up this exclusion zone, to try and keep the two sides apart. But they also fear that the group may not be entirely honest when they say that they're merely here to protect the war memorials, to honour the fallen, as they say. They fear that some might have ulterior motives. Many are here with face coverings, balaclavas, and so they've given themselves some extra powers to search people for weapons and also to ask them to remove their face coverings. If they refuse, then they can be arrested. We haven't seen any arrests so far, and the atmosphere now is calm once again. But I think a lot of the officers here clearly are watching and waiting to see how things unfold, because it was very tense earlier, and the fear is it could become tense again later.